I didn't tell you, I thought I did. So they wanted to give me the job, and I decided not to take it.
You turned down a New York State Department job?
She realizes, like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, you know, we need income. You can't rely on me for these things. The pressure is tremendous.
If Stevi tells me that she's bisexual or something like that, honestly, I think I'm catfished.
And I have been here through her.
I get that.
Through thick and thin while you were in Colombia, potentially messing around. Just literally shatters.
I just think that's my private life.
I finally got to catch up on the OG 90-Day Fiancé, and y'all, it never disappoints. Where did they find these people? And very quickly, I've noticed that there's a theme. There's a theme of people in their lives overstepping, and the foreigners aren't taking anybody's crap. Let's get into it. Hi guys, welcome back to Nikki Faces Reality. We are here to discuss 90-Day Fiancé. I am finally caught up, and I just had to check in with you guys before episode 5 comes out on Sunday. I literally have been avoiding any spoilers. I've been avoiding all of my favorite creators' videos because I wanted to experience this for myself. And now I'm like, oh my God, I am understanding the different thumbnails that I'm seeing, and I just cannot wait to get into it with you guys. Before we do, as always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, let's get this going. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna recap the latest episode, episode 4, and then I'm also gonna give you like a little blurb at the top of what I think about the couples. It's a little gist of what I gathered from them from the first 3 episodes. So I'm gonna start with the first couple, which I think is my personal favorite because they are giving me just chaos. Okay, so it is Mark and Mina. Mark is from New Hampshire and Mina is from France, and immediately looking at them, it's very easy to be like, honey, you know why she's here. But she seems to have led a really fabulous life in France. It's very easy to make assumptions. But seeing Mark and seeing his track record post his first divorce, he likes a little chocolate, okay? And he's not just your typical old rich guy. He seems like he's a lot of fun, okay? But he is rich. He flies his own little planes. She's 35, he's 58. But even though she's 35, she gives like, I don't know, she has a vibe of someone that is older. So I'm like, this makes sense. They dated for 2 years. He proposed. After he proposed, she got pregnant 6 months later, and they have baby Maria. Baby Maria is honestly the cutest little munchkin I have ever seen. She's adorable. However, I did say that this man was previously married and he has 2 grown-up kids, and there's already family tensions, okay? Because his daughter feels away. She feels that her dad is being used. Apparently there was like a baby shower in France, and the daughter felt like Maria didn't give her and the family enough attention. She also like had something to say about the way that the, you know, baby shower was so lavish and Maria was late because she was getting glam. And I was giving her a side eye because I'm like, girl, it is not your day. Like, yes, you are blending families, but it's not your day. If Maria wants to be a diva on her own baby shower, like, she's allowed. But I also am trying to put myself in the daughter's shoes, and she's like, I can understand her being like, is my dad having a midlife crisis? Like, is this woman gonna, you know, take him for all he's worth? So I understand wanting to have connection with Maria. There was also like an undertone of jealousy, which I didn't understand because she's 27. She's like, you know, it's weird seeing you like have a new baby and, you know, fix diapers and stuff. Like, we're here. And I'm like, girl, you are 27. You're leading your own life. Like, are you really jealous over a baby? Because you don't even live at home. Like, the jealousy was weird to me because you have had your own life. Your dad lives by himself. Like, I don't want to be insensitive to the starting over of things. Like, I understand how it could be hard to see that your parent is starting a different family. But Mark is trying to keep you in the mix every step of the way. So I feel like everyone here needs to be a team player. And I'm going to tell you right now, no one is being a team player, including Mark, even though he thinks he's trying. But I also want to push back on the whole Maria, what's her name, Mina, being like a gold digger. Because I feel like it's important to look at just the whole thing. I think that it might have started as something transactional. Mark too has something to gain with being with a younger woman. He was getting his needs met. I don't see anything wrong with her also getting needs met. It's a mutual thing. But I do feel love from the way that they speak of each other. Overall, while I think that Mina needs to play her part as the newcomer in this family, I also think the daughter needs to play her part as someone that can be protective of their dad, but also open. But overall, you guys, I really do believe that the person that needs to set the tone and help facilitate this blending of families is Mark. That is his role. He should be the conductor. Another layer of the drama that I think that we're going to be seeing this season is that Mina has a son. She has a 9-year-old son, and he was included in the visa application. However, I don't know what happened with the embassy, but her son's passport didn't come through. And so she left him with family, and she and Maria came to America. I have a huge problem with people doing this on the show. It is a reoccurring thing. I will give it to Maria, though, that she is one of the first that we've seen on this franchise that actually looks torn up about this. This was not her intention. This was not her plan. And the reason that she came without him was that, like, if she would have stayed and then the visa would have lapsed, they would have had to gone over the whole process all over again. And I understand that that is financially daunting, emotionally daunting, and she's also thinking about the little one. But my heart broke when her son apparently told her, oh, like, do you prefer Maria? Like, are you gonna leave me? Like that. That's not, like, that broke me. She looked really heartbroken by that. So I want to give her the benefit of the doubt. But I need to see that they are shuffling papers and moving and shaking to make sure that that boy gets here. That's all I'm going to say on that. Mina's waking up in New Hampshire. She's like, I don't like this. I'm a city girl. We need to move. And he's like, girl, you just got here. We need to give it a chance. I was cackling, you guys, at the fact that this man did not stock up this house with, like, good food, but he had plenty of champagne. You see them eat some gas station food. They put Maria to bed. They go to the hot tub and they're talking, and he's like, hey, so yeah, I can't wait to have you see my family again. I really want you to get along with Jordan. And she, like, can feel that something's going on. And she's like, are me and Jordan enemies? And he's like, no. She just wants to get to know you better. You know, she may think that, like, you know, that you're taking advantage of me. And she's like, why would she think that? And then we get a little more context through Mina's eyes. Mina's like, Jordan is a hypocrite because in Paris, we were dancing, we were taking photos, and they showed us a photo. We were fine. So for her to then turn and tell you all of this crap about me when she could have told me directly, she's a hypocrite. That's a snake. And, like, here's the thing. Jordan is allowed to complain to her father. Her dad should be a safe place for her. Same, like, Mina should have a safe place in her future husband. I think the problem is when he starts spilling information to each party. Like, you're not going to get the outcome that you want. And so she's here calling his daughter a snake, which is, like, out of bounds. Even if she may be acting like a snake, you don't speak like that about someone's daughter, and also someone that's going to be in your life. Like, you're stuck with her, you know? And I love that he stood up for his daughter. He was like, my daughter's not a snake. Like, don't say that. She's not a hypocrite. And Mina did not like that, and she just ends up walking off. Anyway, we get to episode 4. Mina is feeling away. Mina has this attitude where she thinks that, like, it's her against the world. Everyone is against her, and the way that she views herself in competition with Jordan is not healthy. Mark is in a very tough position, and I think it's tougher when you're a people pleaser, which we learn a little more about. But he really wants Mina to really love New Hampshire, so he invites a bunch of neighbors. All of these neighbors are, like, retired, okay? They're up in age, and Mina is noticing, and she's like, who is Maria gonna play with? I guess they're grandchildren, but, like, I need things to do. I'm not going to sit here and knit. None of this is making a compelling case for her to want to stay in New Hampshire. While Mark is grilling on the side, she pulls the ladies to lunch and she's like, okay, so I really want a second baby. That is what would make me adapt to this place more. However, it seems that we need Jordan's authorization. And the ladies are like, well, yeah, he's really close to his daughter, and Mark is a people pleaser, and he needs everyone to win. And if you get the baby and Jordan is upset, he's not going to be happy. Mina looks constipated hearing all of this. She's not a fan of this ideology because in Mina's world, she needs to win. And like, when you blend families, it is a very delicate situation. And Mina, I don't think is going to make this easy. So I'm really looking forward to the drama that will ensue because it doesn't seem like anyone's going to back down. I'm just filling you guys in on everything just in case you haven't seen it. Another layer of drama here is that Mina desperately wants a second baby. And Jordan, his daughter, has made it clear that she wouldn't be okay with that. Granted, that is not on her, but Mark really cares about this situation. So Mina is making it clear that she wants a second baby, and she makes it clear when she puts it down, and Mark is a happy camper. But for some reason, we see him have the bright idea of wanting to take them hiking. I don't know what would possess him to think that this lady would want to go hiking, but here they are. And in this hike, he takes the opportunity again to be like, so my daughter Jordan, I really, want to get everyone together. And he's basically like, listen, I want to get rid of the tension before the wedding. And Mina's like, well, she doesn't have to come. And he's like, Mina, my daughter will be at the wedding. Like, come on. So this is where I'm like, Mark, you need to put your foot down with everybody. And I'm like, Mina, you need to stop talking about his daughter like she's the enemy. Like, you're not going to win in this fight. Mark looks like he's a good dad. He's not going to abandon his kids for you. So, like, be a team player. Let's move on to the next couple, you guys, Juan and Jessica. These two. So we met them in Love in Paradise, and he was a bartender on a cruise. She was on there. They flirted a little bit. They ended up having a visit during COVID, and the rest is history. She got pregnant really fast. I don't think these people would have been together if she didn't get pregnant. This man liked to lead a nomad life. He liked to flirt with people in different ports and say goodbye, see ya. She already had 2 kids. She lives in the middle of nowhere, Wyoming. Literally smells like cow poop. Seems like she leads a really nice life for herself, but she is very set in her ways because she has had to be. She's been the commander of her home. She has 2 healthy, happy boys, and now she has a 3rd additional. The drama with them, she thought that he cheated in the cruise, and her friends didn't like him. And that was like a year ago, right? Now the baby is about to be a year or so. He's about to come to Wyoming, and she is prepping for him to get there. And I'm not kidding when I say that this is like the poopiest place ever. Her sons are literally throwing poops at each other. Like, it is just everywhere, okay? And that may be normal if you grew up in a rural area. Juan is from Colombia, which is one of the most vibrant places. There's tons of people. And he's going to move here. And I know that transition is not going to be easy, but I think the transition is going to be harder because Jessica won't acknowledge how big of a change this is. And more on that in a little bit. I give Jessica tons of props for being a single mom that is making it happen. Raising 3 boys by herself is no joke. She is a trooper. And while I think that this is going to be a huge culture shock and change for Juan, I think that it's also going to be a big change for Jessica because, again, she is very set in her ways. She's been super mom, and that is amazing, and she will never not be super mom. But I think now you have to add the layer of being a partner to someone, and with that comes a bit of give and take. So, like, homegirl needs to install some doors. When Juan goes to her house, she has 0 doors, 0 privacy, and that's important. And I just didn't appreciate the way that she would dismiss him when he would make comments. Like, he's like, oh, like, I need privacy. Like, I need, a barrier. And she's like, well, you don't have privacy in the cruise. Yeah, well, this is supposed to be his forever home. Do you not want him to stay here? This has to be a comfortable place for everyone. He's gonna need privacy. Like, the fact that he needs to go through the boys' room in order to get his clothes, there's gonna need to be some shuffling around. And she just seems dismissive and also doing the very passive-aggressive thing that, I'm sorry, white girls y'all love to do this, and I love y'all, but it is a toxic trait. Latinas have our toxic traits. This is your toxic trait. Y'all love to say the bitchiest of things and be like, I'm just saying, like, you know, you'll know that once you're a dad because you haven't technically been a dad. She did that thing. I was like, girl, don't do that. That man is literally going to go back to Colombia. I totally get having easy access for your kids. I totally get needing to like have eyes and ears everywhere because you've been by yourself, but you are no longer by yourself. You're going to be functioning in a team, and you guys need to establish team-like strategies. Get a door, get a baby monitor. You guys need couple time, you need privacy. It's one thing to have to share a hotel room with everyone because obviously your kids are young, but when you are in your home, like, there are ways to get around it. And they didn't have any intimate one-on-one time until like 2 days later, which you're a parent, like I understand that it gets difficult. But anyway, she gives him a tour of the town. He sees it for himself. He's like, okay, like I'm used to many restaurants. Now I'm in a town that only has 6 restaurants. I'll adjust. I'll be a little bored, but I'll adjust. I was dying when he compared the town to a retirement home. I was like, maybe don't say that out loud. But anyway, I think the big drama in episode 4, obviously, was when he met up with her friends. So as you guys know, there was some beef in Love in Paradise where the friends were like, did you cheat on my friend? And he wouldn't answer it. But it sounds like he confessed to Jessica privately. This was a year ago. They have had a baby since. She obviously stayed with him. She brought him here. I feel like there is nothing left to talk about with you. However, the friend is determined to get her answers. She's feeling really entitled. And the way that Jessica is being smug about it lets me know that she kind of planted the seed for her friend to be smug about it to Juan, which is like, you really want to do this to your partner when he just got here? He is a flight risk. You literally brought him into West Bubblefuck. You really want to set him up like this with your friends? I don't know. Something about that just didn't feel good, you know? But they go to this bar. He's eating cow balls. He's here, you know, being fake nice with everybody because he can sense that there's something on its way. He sits at the bar and immediately the friend is like, so you know what's gonna go down, right? And Jessica's just like, I did not like that. And she's just like, well, you didn't answer my questions. And I'm like, it's been a year. He has nothing to prove to you. The only person that he owes honesty to is Jessica. And she needs to decide what to do with that information. It sounds like he already told her. I just think it's a touchy thing to approach a friend's partner with this kind of energy and information because ultimately she's already chosen him, right? And if you put yourself in between them, it's going to be you against them. Do you really want to lose your friend over this? I understand giving your friend counsel on the side, but to make it a negative situation right off the bat, he's not going to want to keep interacting with you. Like, she's going to choose the father of her kid over you. You know what I mean? So it's just not good. And ultimately, like, she should have left it at, I want to make sure that you show my friend the same love that she shows you. She could have left it at that, but she didn't. And so again, she's like, what happened at the cruise? And he's like, I messed up. And she's like, how did you mess up? Did you sleep with the girl? And he said, yes, I did. And Jessica doesn't look surprised. Meanwhile, her friend is crying over this. And I'm like, Jessica, is this what you wanted? You obviously forgave him a year ago for him cheating. Now your friend is taking this like she got cheated on. It just felt very ridiculous to me. I love my friends. I don't want to see them hurt. But certain things are simply just not your business. The delayed outrage of it all just felt like a lot to me. But let's move on to Greg and Joan. Greg from Long Island and Joan from Uganda. Greg is a textbook Long Island Italian guy that lives with his mom. He's a huge mama's boy, and you know, his mom is giving Debbie. This is a Debbie and Colt situation, okay? Things we learn about Greg: he's had a huge weight loss journey. He's trying to, you know, establish a healthier relationship with food, but he loves food. It brings him joy. He has a dream of having a bakery, but currently he does not have a set job. He works, you know, little gigs here and there, but he does not have a stable job, which makes me think, how did you get approved for a K1 visa? Like, someone is going to come here and depend on you for their livelihood. Why are you doing this? He lives with his mom. His mom is making it clear that she doesn't feel, comfortable with the thought of him like sharing a room with someone. This is a grown man. I've totally heard people, not feeling comfortable with their children, sleeping with people under their roof until they're married. But this is a very special situation. This person is literally leaving everything behind. I'm going to need you to bend a little bit, But the mom is not bending, okay? She's like, I just want to feel respected. I don't want to be pushed to the side. He went on a trip to Uganda, and that is how he met Joan, and he went back and proposed, and it was like this beautiful thing. And I just feel so bad because Joan is an established young woman in Uganda. She's a director of a nonprofit organization. She leads a really nice life. And he acknowledges that. And there is something that really bugs me about the way that he's smiling as he's telling us that she leads a nice life and that, like, she's gonna learn the hard way that things are not so fab here. The way that he said she's in for a rude awakening. Why does she have to come into a rude awakening? Why don't you have a job? Why are you insisting on doing freelance things when you have the opportunity to have other work? Why do you insist on living with your mom when you know that your mom is very sensitive to certain things and you know that it's already going to be a huge shock for your fiance? Why are you doing any of this? And so when Joan lands and he tells her that, like, yeah, the mom doesn't want us to sleep together, and Joan starts crying and then he starts crying, I'm like, why are you crying? This is a huge shift for Joan. And like, if you feel guilty, you're going to have to deal with that. All of this could have been avoided. And the way that when he went downstairs to talk to his mom, she was already like calculating the time that Joan was spending in the shower. She flew God knows how many hours in a crusty plane. You're mad that she's in the shower for less than 10 minutes? All of that felt really, really icky for me. I wanted Joan to go back to Uganda night one. So when we get to episode 4, we see that they did sleep together. They look really in love, these two, which is why I'm like, Greg, you're gonna F this up. You're gonna F this up. And Joan really wants to be with you. She looks locked in. But they open the blinds and there is the mom conveniently mowing the lawn right below their window. And I just feel so bad because Joan feels it. She's like, I'm gonna have to walk on eggshells in this woman's house. Like, this is not what I want. And, when they go down for breakfast, the mom wastes no time to be like, so do you like a lot of showers? Yeah, you take a lot of showers? Because I noticed the spike in my bill immediately. Like, yeah, I noticed it. And she's so full of shit because Joan has been here for less than 12 hours. You did not get an alert from Con Ed telling you that there was a spike in your hot water. All of that made me so uncomfortable and felt like a microaggression. And I'm just like, just because you're crusty and don't take 2 showers a day doesn't mean that Joan here should be equally crusty. I did not like the micromanaging that was happening. I did not appreciate it. And the man-child next to her said nothing to defend her. I did not like that. And like, Joan just got here, and the way that she's just like picking at like Joan's discomfort around the dogs, because in different cultures, dogs aren't family members like they are to us here. I didn't start liking dogs until like 4 years ago, you guys, because in DR, dogs are a little crazy. There are very few dogs that are in homes. So she was saying that in Uganda, dogs are kept outside. They're not, they're not supposed to be on your bed. So it's hard for her to have her breakfast and have a dog try to climb on her. Different culture. And the fact that there is like no grace given to her, it's very much like, oh, well, you need to push back. She needs to get used to it. Or she doesn't. You can keep the dogs on your bed. She doesn't have to have it where she's sleeping. Like, I just don't like the energy that I'm getting. Joan is an independent woman, and now she has to deal with a man-child and his overbearing mom. Like, you could see that she's like cursing them out in her head, but she's such a polite person. She has such a polite demeanor. She's not dealing with a man. And he's not providing emotionally. He's not providing it financially. He's not providing in any way. He's not even providing mentally. He's He's offering nothing. We see them go food shopping. And, you know, she realizes that he doesn't have a job. He only freelances. So she's like, wow, I'm seeing the prices. It's a little expensive. Do you have a budget? And he's like, no, I just get whatever I want. And then she's, you know, stressing about their livelihood. And he's like, yeah, about that. So I did turn down that state job. And she's like, you what? You knew that I was coming here. You knew that we're stuck at your mom's house. You knew that we don't really have much of an income. Why would you think that it's okay to turn down a job? He says that, you know, it just didn't feel like him. Many people are in jobs that don't feel like them, and they're in it for however long they need to be to get needs met. He could have started that state job with good pay, good benefits, to take care of the family that no one told him to start. But instead, he's here like, yeah, I'm sorry, but I love you, as she's crying. And that is already pissing me off. That is something that he does often. He thinks that I love you is a band-aid. And she's like, I appreciate that, but we have no money. I need this woman to go back immediately. She left Uganda to struggle in America? Ghetto. Go back. Greg is so gross to me because not only is he lazy, but then he wants to play the victim. He's here being like, yeah, you know, I'm really feeling the pressure of it all. Don't talk to me about pressure when you're here turning down good jobs. You're an idiot. That's how I feel about Greg, okay? Aliya&Shawn, really quick on these two. We were introduced to them also in Love in Paradise. Big age difference here. I don't like Shawn. Aliya, I don't know what you're doing here, is how I feel. I talked a lot about them already, and we didn't really get much new material here. So if you would like to know my full views on them, I do have tons of videos. I can link them in the description. But what is interesting to me about their segment is that it starts backwards. They show us the day after the wedding where Aliya is crying. She's saying that she didn't expect things to be like this. And it looks like Shawn might have gotten left at the altar. It starts there and then it goes back to the start of Aliya happy, trying on wedding dresses. I mean, they're letting us know things are not going to go down well between these two. I'll add a little context here. Shawn was married before to a woman. He has kids through that marriage. And then after that divorce, he just dated men and he met Douglas. And Douglas was, you know, vibrant but shy and reserved. Douglas found themselves and realized all along that deep down they were always Aliya. And so that's how we met Aliya. And Shawn has struggled with accepting Aliya because he's still very much mourning Douglas. And Aliya is not reserved. Aliya is out there. Aliya is sexy, sensual. She's outgoing. And this is not, I guess, the qualities that he wanted. Aliya has been Aliya for like a long time at this point, and Shawn can't stop talking about Douglas, looking at pictures of Douglas, lamenting Douglas. But now we have an issue where the application process was with Douglas's name. And so they're nervous that when Aliya shows up, it could be a transphobe in there that turns her away. And when we see Aliya, we see her going to like the beach with her friend, and she starts crying because she's like, I have worked so hard to accept myself against all odds. Do I have to detransition for this interview? Like, will I get turned away if I show up as me? But we do see that she ends up showing up as herself, which takes a lot of courage. It really does. And I mean, I'm guessing because we saw her in America, she got approved. But leading up to that, there was a lot of anxiety because they apparently applied to every sort of visa possible and got rejected. So this was like their last shot. But that's it for them, really, this episode 4. I want to move on to Stevie and Maddie. So Stevie is from Mississippi and Maddie's from Iran, and she's a painter and she paints a lot of nudes, which automatically made me cackle because I'm like, Why is it that the most free-spirited people end up dating people that come from the most conservative places? Like, what is it about each other that they're drawn to, you know? But painting obviously doesn't pay all of the bills, so she also teaches English online, and he was one of her students, and that is how they met. They met up in Turkey because that was like a safe place to meet, and after a week, he proposed. And she says he's coming, and she's really excited, but she's also preparing herself for it not to work. I'm like, oh, that's such a hard way to think about it. But I mean, there's a lot against them. If he comes, he may not be able to return to Iran, or if he does go back to Iran, he may not be able to come back into the state. Also, her dad didn't know that she was in this relationship and that she was going to do this visa. Her mom and sisters did. She refers to her dad as being very red, white, and blue. And because of that, she's afraid that he wouldn't accept someone that comes from a country that hates Americans. So yeah, her dad was in shock, but he was like basically like trying to trust her, but it was obviously a lot to take in. When we see Mahdi arrive, I do believe their connection. I do believe that there's love here. And I do feel like he really is into the freedom that America offers, but in some ways it scares him. He even is afraid to like say certain things on camera. So I'm like, I don't know how well this is gonna go, even though I can feel the love here. In episode 4, we see him arrive to her home and he's looking around, and she told him that she was a painter and that she did nude paintings. I don't think that fully clicked for him until he saw it and he was like, whoa, there's so many boobs around. Like, can't you paint something else? To the point that he's questioning her sexuality. And he's kind of spinning about that, and I don't think that he would be okay with her being bisexual. But here's the thing. I feel like she's a free spirit. She's a painter. If she's queer, she's queer. But I also think that people love nude paintings of themselves, and it probably feels safer to do it of women. I think that there's nothing else to it. But I mean, I'm sure we'll get to that later on in the season. He's another one that's not comfortable with her cat. He's like, you know, in my country, cats carry diseases. You don't really have them inside the house. He's also like dealing with a change with that. She goes ahead and takes him around town, which is going to lead up to him meeting up with her dad. And she stops him and she's like, hey, I have to tell you that my dad had no idea that you were coming. He actually had no idea that I was in a relationship. He is pissed because he's like, you're putting me in a very uncomfortable situation. And I completely agree. You were afraid that your dad would have something to say about him being from Iran, but then you also gave your dad zero time to process. So who knows how this meeting is gonna go, you know? Maddie's like, you had a year to tell him. So this is like unacceptable. I need you to know that you're making me anxious going into this. And that's a fair thing to say, but I also can empathize with Stevie. Her dad had health issues. She was afraid that that would like alter things for him. It's just uncomfortable all around. So I guess we'll see how that goes in the next episode. The last couple that I want to cover is the throuple because they're my least favorite. They're the least interesting to me, which is funny because I think that they were supposed to be the most provocative, but I feel nothing watching them. So getting into a little bit of the dynamics. So the couple, Matt and Amani, are from California, and the third, Ani, is from Mexico. So Amani is the breadwinner in the family. She works in tech. Her background is that she's Tunisian, and you could see that like everything about her personality is like rebelling against what she grew up as. The couple has 2 daughters, I believe, and Ani, their third, has 3 children. I think 2 of them are adults and then one of them lives with her. Matt, the husband, is a stay-at-home dad. And you could see that like they have their own little dynamic. When we met them, their plan was to divorce so then one of them can marry Ani, which I don't think that they worked out all the way through. Even though they say that they're secure in doing that, they are not. The more they talk about this, the more their insecurities come out. You know, being 3 is an uneven number. There's going to be times that we pair off. And what if she's a better partner to you than I am? And what if you guys run off? All of these conversations should be had. You guys should set rules and expectations before you're planning on divorcing and breaking up your family. Like, I also don't feel like the way that they're handling this is the best way for their kids. I'm not a parent, but from an outsider looking in, it looks a bit of a mess. When we see them in episode 4, they drive down to Mexico and they meet up with Ani. And they meet up at this like festival, Day of the Dead festival, and they're wearing masks and they think it's so sexy and mysterious. They see Ani and the three of them are just hugging and making out in the middle of the street. I would have loved to interview the people that were watching them because it looked like a circus. And there isn't much talking because they have a one-track mind. They want to take the party back to the hotel. But what I think is interesting, in the next week's teaser, it sounds like Amani was asleep and these two decided to have schmacks and Amani looks pissed. And I'm just like, do you think that you guys were always going to be intimate, all three at the same time, every single time? Like, she seems to be the one that's more gung-ho about wanting this throuple. So for her to be the first one to be upset and with jealousy issues, I'm like, you really don't actually want this. And I watch a lot of the channel, Kiki and Kibitz. I really love this channel. She has been covering a lot of 90-day news, and she's always posting about how the throuple is just milking the fact that they're on the show. So a part of me just feels like they're on it for the publicity of it all, not because they really think that this is going to work in the long run. You know what I mean? I think that they get a thrill off of being shocking on TV. But yeah, you guys, that was it for the recap. Oh yeah, I mean, another couple, they weren't covered in this episode, but they are covered, is Shekinah and Sarper. Shekinah's from LA, Sarper is from Turkey, and we've seen them a long time on this show. Finally, he got approved for the K1 visa. He doesn't really want to come to America, but she has a daughter and she's young and she needs to be there. So like, they have no choice if they're going to be together. But the whole time, Sarper is being a big baby about it at his big age. And these two, I really don't know if I'll cover them because they get on my nerves. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm going to see how things go and decide if I want to cover all couples or if I just want to zero in on certain couples. This throuple situation, I just don't know if I can stomach it week after week. They're already annoying. But yeah, you guys, those are my thoughts on the current season of 90 Day Fiancé. I am finally now on track and will be able to cover it week by week with you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please do let me know your thoughts and I'll see you in the next one.